Hey guys, good day to you. I just wanted to say that you shouldn't make your life all about money. Because if you make your life all about money, you paint yourself into a corner. You put yourself in a corner where nothing else matters and everything can be taken over by shitty people, because shitty people are the ones who control the money supply. Shitty people are the ones who control media, public opinion. You know, just go to any news conglomerate, anything you can think of, find out who's in charge, who wears the little hat in the building. You find out who's got that, and you'll see what I'm saying. It's all the same people, and you can say anything you want about a certain kind of people, but you can't say certain. You're completely limited in your speech if you care about money so much. So I think the best thing you can do to have a clean soul and be able to live a life the way that you want to and say what you want to say, how you want to say it, is to just stop chasing material things. Get away from big cities where everybody's liberal and you're not allowed to have your own opinion because you'll get fired. Get away from such places and organizations, corporate jobs. Just say no, because at the end of the day, if you're living a life that isn't living your own truth, are you really living it all? Like if I couldn't say what I'm saying to you now, I would rather be dead. I don't even want to be alive if I can't say this without getting fired. You know, my boss look up my YouTube videos and how I talk about the little hat idiots. And I'm sorry, they're not idiots. They're really smart and evil. But anyways, you know, he could look up what I say about them and he could be like, oh, that opinion doesn't jive with me, because my shareholders, if they knew that you work for me, that would be a danger. And you know, and I was explaining to one of my daughter's friends, you know, be careful about that. Be careful about how you structure your life growing up, and tell your kids to be careful, because they could put themselves in a corner in some job, you know, just chasing paper. Do they really want to be, a lawyer? Do they really want to be a doctor? Do they really want to be this corporate, you know, Home Depot manager? Do they really want to be in one of these jobs where their public persona can get them fired? You know, or wouldn't it be just better if you could just be yourself and say what you want and do what you think is right? Because it happens all the time. If you look throughout history, you know, there's always, you know, some kind of religion. And when I say religion, I'm not talking about Christianity or any conventional religion, but religion is like something everybody lives by, or else something bad will happen to them. Like with the COVID shots, there was the religion of science, you know, because it definitely wasn't based in facts. It definitely wasn't based in research. It was just based in feelings, you know, and people were forced into taking vaccines and all that stuff just because of their religion. They didn't even know it was their religion. They don't, there's a religion of sports. There's this anyways. So, you know, just be careful that you're not living your life for somebody else. Be careful that you're living your purpose, because at the end of the day, one of these days you're going to die. And you're going to be laying there dying, as we do, and you're going to think to yourself about how your life went, things you wish you would have said, things you wish you would have done, you know, and you know, you can't take back the things that you've never said, you know, and so do what's right now, because generally, you know, our conscience is generally correct. You know, you see a video of Israelis killing Palestinian children, you should be able to say something about that. You see a video of Israelis going into the West Bank or Gaza and harassing the people who live there, setting up food giveaways where they're shooting bullets over their heads as they run in. They're like purposely putting them in a war zone. You see videos of reporters getting killed, and it, you should be able to say all these things. You should be able to say it because they're shitty people, and that you should be able to say these people are shitty people, and you should give, your honest opinion at all times. And when you're on the internet, you should consider that the people that you're talking to who are telling you your opinion is wrong, you should consider that those are robots. That's AI, and Israel has scores of people going in all over America, and they're monitoring their bots, and they have like this army of intelligence, artificial intelligent bots that are just basically, you say something, and then all of a sudden everybody jumps down your throat, and it's like, all I said was you shouldn't kill kids in Palestine, or you shouldn't kill kids in Gaza. That's all I said. But really, that's not real people, because real people don't disagree with that. Real people will agree with that sort of thing. So don't live your life for some corporate little hat, anti-Christ type figure. Be a hero. Don't and there's no, and I hate to say it, but there's no heroes in the military. Not one, because a hero always does the right thing no matter what. That's the characteristic of a hero. The characteristic of a hero is hey, they're telling me to do this, but it's not the right thing, so a hero's gonna sacrifice. A hero's gonna say no. A hero's not gonna do whatever they're told. And they're going to go against their own nature. They're going to go against their own nature and their instinct to survive and, accumulate wealth or rank or whatever. They just don't care. They just see right, and they're gonna do it. So, be that person. How can you be the change that you seek in the world, as Gandhi says? Or so I think, or I think he said that. But how can you be the change that you seek in the world if you're too afraid to say how you feel because you're going to get fired, or maybe they're not gonna let you go to that church anymore, or maybe they're not gonna, you're gonna lose some friends. I recently lost my best friend. I don't talk to him anymore. I don't talk to any of his family. We were real cool for like 10 years, and I just noticed that they were all wrong, and I would always tell them that they're wrong. And they were some little hat people, and I tried to tell them nicely. I would say things like, hey, the same way that I'm supposed to separate myself from, white supremacy, you're supposed to separate yourself from your own supremacy, because there is supremacy in their culture. But they would just gaslight me, and they would like try to act like I'm under some Russian propaganda influence, and it just got old, and I had a lot of perks being friends with them. They had a lot of perks being friends with me because I'm really knowledgeable. I know electrical, plumbing, air conditioning. Like, there's nothing I can't fix. And they were a bunch of highly educated people, some doctors, some lawyers, that type of thing. And I just felt like I couldn't be myself around them. And they called me an anti-Semite over my ideology, and I just was like, fuck you guys, fuck you, because that's not what this is. That's me pointing the finger at a group of people who shouldn't be doing what they're doing. And you look at their ideology, and it says they're allowed to lie to people, cheat, rape people, do all these horrible things. And I'm not going to live a life where I become what you need me to be. I am going to be a hero, even if it's only in my own mind, because at the end of the day, I got to wake up with who I am. I got to have some self-respect, and if I wake up in the morning and I know that, and I've done this before. I remember I was at I used to be a Mason. Well, I'm technically still a Mason, but back when I was actively doing it, I was at one of the brothers' houses, and he was a little hat Israeli wannabe jerk. But anyways, I was at his house and I didn't realize what was going on, and I always felt like they were doing wrong with Palestinians, and I felt like I could say something, like, hey, that ain't right, don't do that. And I was there, and his mom said something to me, and I was helping them, like I was doing free work for them, like I was helping them fix their well, because I'm just a helpful person. I would give people the shirt off my back, like anything you guys need. If you ever have something broken at your house, I don't care if you're just a viewer on YouTube and I don't know you, I will help you. Hit me up, drop a comment. I'll personal message you. I don't care. But anyways, I was helping this person out, and his mom said something about Israel, like how it's so great and all this and stuff. And I just said, no, man, look what they're doing to the Palestinians. That ain't cool. And she's living here in America, so I'm thinking, there's a difference between them because they're here in America. But no. You should have seen her face turn. She's like, just went crazy, and she's like, there is no Palestine. Palestine never existed. And like she just acted like she wanted to wipe them off the face of the earth, kill all their babies. She didn't give a shit. And she was saying that they hate me too, and they would kill me if I was over there. And just like they're just such evil people. But she doesn't understand that I know the whole story, so that's not true. And the reality is, none of these people were ever terrorists. Islam has always been a religion of peace. The same, just like Christianity mostly has been. They've got some of their dark times, so do we. I mean, every Catholic missionary across the United States was a place where you could, where people were converted, against their will to Catholicism, where, they did untold violence towards people to make this place what it was. And, but that's just the history of everyone, because it was rough times back then. But this is recent, and therein lies the difference, is that Palestine had a civilized society. It wasn't like just a bunch of wild savages over there. It was a bunch of really nice, civilized people who actually, wanted to help out. And, these ships full of little hat backstabbers showed up on their shores saying that they were scared, and, oh, we don't have no place to go. And and they took them in, and now all of a sudden they got screwed over. They don't even have a country anymore. They've been killing them all. You just look up what they do to people in the West Bank. Watch what they do in the West Bank. Look how they're like, people will like erect a fence around their property. The Israeli military will come over and smash it down, and just so that Israelis can go in there. You'll be like trying to eat your dinner. They'll kick your door in and pepper spray in the house. They'll do all kinds. It's the most foulest shit ever. I see it. It enrages me. It makes me just despise these people. Like, and if you. The thing, and I ought to be able to say something about that. You should be able to say something about that. In fact, if you don't say something about that, I don't think you're a good person, and I don't want to be around you. A lot of people who will watch my videos, I don't know whether they're going to talk or not. They're probably not talking because they have a job, and if they comment, somehow somebody they know is going to see that comment, and now you're outed. You're an anti-Semite. Just because you supported something that I said. But really, you're just a good person, because you can't be a good person and not be what they would call an anti-Semite. So I gladly accept that fake ass term, because to me it has no power. Because to me there's 12 or 13 tribes of Israel, and they say that they're one of them, and that's highly contestable when you look at the Bible and you look at the way things have gone. If you know the history of everything, if you know who the Khazars are, the Khazarians or whatever, if you know who they are, and you know how they had to convert to a religion they were forced to, then you know that the odds of them actually being Semites is so slim that and nobody knows the full history, because it's been they've lied to us so many times about our history. The kids in school are reading books that were written by the Mossad. Did you know that? Look it up. McGraw-Hill was purchased by Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, back in 1989. McGraw-Hill. And you know, from the time you're in the fifth grade to the time you're in the 12th grade, you have to learn about the Holocaust every single year, but you'll never learn about the Bolsheviks. You'll never learn about the Haganah. You'll never learn about all of these things that they have done. And you'll never see them as villains in a movie. You'll never see them as anything but painted to be the victim. They can only be a victim. That's the only way that they'll be presented to you. You know, but when you watch things that aren't fiction, when you watch things that are real life, they're anything but the victim. They are the aggressor. They are the terrorist. They are the one who does the killing and starts the fights and bombs people and makes up lies and propaganda and just everything that they told you a Nazi was. Every single thing. And you know, so we all have to get in line with our own spirituality. We got to get closer to God, whatever that is, whatever that means for you. You know, I think the 10 Commandments are pretty universal and written in the hearts of all men and women from the day that you're born. You know, if you see somebody hit a kid, you know, when you're in school, you know, or even if you did do some abusing of somebody, you know in your heart that it was wrong. Nobody had to tell you that. Just the fact that you're hurting another person. You know what I'm saying? So like, and this isn't suicidal empathy. This is actually the kind of empathy that will help you. You know, suicidal empathy is when you is what the majority of evangelicals and people who think the Holocaust really happened, you know, that's what those people have. Those people have suicidal empathy because their empathy for these people who are all liars is so great that they're willing to let their whole society be destroyed just so they can go with the narrative those people have crafted. And it's easier to trick somebody than to convince them that they have been tricked. So yeah. So you have to stop living your... So the message today is to don't live your life for anybody but yourself. Be who you are. Be willing to be fired. Be willing to lose friends. Because you can't have an honest discussion about anything until we know what people think. And I get into conversations with people and they're always like, yeah, but I don't talk politics. And to me, it's like, fuck that. That's what evil wants. Let's talk politics. Let's go deep. Because maybe I can change you. And when you approach one of these discussions, never do it with the intention of proving somebody wrong, because you have to open yourself up to the possibility that you could be wrong. You know, I could be wrong about everything I'm saying in this. I really believe in all my heart that I'm not. But if you can present to me evidence that shows that I am wrong, like, which you can't because it doesn't really exist, then I will be willing to change, you know, because at the end of the day, you know, I just want to expose truth, be a good person, do what I think God wants. And if I think that I am wrong, you know, if I can find empirical data that says that I'm wrong, which I can't, you know what I mean? Like every video, every Epstein file, everything that I see shows me that I'm right. And I watch both sides of the argument. I have multiple accounts with different algorithms, and I know how to manipulate them so that I can have the algorithm view me as a liberal, view me as a conservative, view me as a Jew, view me as a Gentile. You know what I mean? Because I think it's important to get the perspective of everybody involved. And all I gotta say is that the people, the religious evangelical people, most religious people in America are completely tricked. They mess with the Bible. They mess with all these. They prop up the little hat people. They prop up and support pastors. They take them on field trips to Israel. They're completely manipulated with their own religion, and they don't they don't go against it because most religions have been turned corporate. Where I live, there's a Baptist church, and it's part of a larger conglomerate of Baptist churches, and they go to Israel. They have trips. They get indoctrinated while they're over there. Everything has changed. I mean, in 1850, around that time, any Bible around then said it was Palestine. They didn't say Israel. They literally changed the Bible, literally, and so they say the Bible is perfect and everything lines up and all the stories line up, and that's bullshit. It's bullshit, because how can it be perfect if it's getting changed, And yeah, so not to be a broken record, but I got to end this video, and the only way I can end this video is to circle back to what I've been saying and just keep the theme of this video what it's supposed to be. Be yourself. Don't be afraid to piss anybody off. Don't be afraid to have a political conversation. Don't be afraid to lose relationships. Don't be afraid, because there's only one right, there's only one wrong, and there's a bunch of fake voices trying to push you into the wrong category and manufacture your consent for all this evilness going on. There's no good politicians. I mean, they have power anyways. There's Massey, there's Rand. We've never had a good president since JFK, and you all know what happened to him. And we're not gonna get good leaders until we deserve them. And how do we deserve them? We got to get smarter. We got to say no. We got to demand better. No more lawyers. No more overly ambitious people who just want to make some money, write a book, get speech fees, all that shit. We don't need that. We need somebody who lives a humble life, who doesn't care about money, who doesn't who doesn't want to be one of these bottomless pits. Who wants to jet set around the world for the rest of their life, and who's compromised because they diddle a kid. We don't need none of that. We need regular ass people who just have that divine spark inside of them that can say, hey, no, killing those kids is wrong. I don't care what you say. We're not bombing those kids. No, we're not selling Israel any more weapons. No, we're not. Just say no. And these guys, all these AIPAC supported candidates, all of these people who are in, I don't care who they are. I will vote Democrat to get rid of Kat Cammack right now, just to send the message. No, if I can't run against her because people don't know me and people don't want to support me, and I don't have the money to register like that, I'm not going to just waste $10,000 if I don't have the support to and then maybe next year I'll start gathering signatures or something like that next go around if we still have a country, but yeah, I'll do it. But if I'm not getting supported, if people aren't yeah, let's do this, I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is, I agree with you, you know what I mean, if the algorithm isn't going to push my videos or whatever, fine, but at least I'll speak the truth. At least I'll sit here and, tell you how I've lost my friendships, tell you how it's negatively impacted my life. But I don't care, because at the end of the day, at least I get to be who I am.